Hey, what's happening? Mm-hmm. Got a few things, man. I'm gonna touch upon. I know y'all been missing me. I've been waiting. I want to just bring you up to speed and not take you too fast. So I just want everybody to sit back, come on and ride. I know you're busy, but stop what you're doing for a minute, man, and join. And make sure that you know, uh, here's the thing. Uh, I think that we, as a community, first of all, a community of African Americans, and then second of all, to include a community of Christians, a community of people who get up and work together and are doing things. I think that we have to be mindful that we got to stick together. If we sit back and let corruption go on without standing up, then it's going to continue to perpetuate over and over and over again. Man, until you get tired and stand up, nothing is going to change. There's an old saying that people won't change. What is it? People won't change until the conditions are remaining the same, until the pains are remaining the same. Or let me write it down. Hold on. People won't change until the pains are remaining the same is greater than the pain of change itself. So people won't change until the pains of remaining the same is greater than the pains of change itself. So I think that we have to be mindful uh, that until we get tired, we can't get tired and reach out to other people and be afraid to speak up because we have to stand up. We got to stand up, man, and say what's on our mind and do what they say. You know what I'm saying? So I think that I know it's an opportune time of the day, so it's good. The thing I like about it. Hey, Danielle, how you doing? I'm just, man, getting ready to cut up. Yeah, I want to cut up on these people for a minute. How you doing? Uh, the last few days I've been kind of speaking out against all the things, all the ears that Parchman, have been doing. You know what I mean? Has been doing to the people that work there. There's been a lot of racism down there at MDOC, and so I want to remind people that until they get tired of the situation they're in, nothing is going to change. Hey, Dennis, how you doing? And so, just to recap, I told them last week that there was going to be a big change coming up from the top. That the CID director of the state chambers, was going to be moved. Yesterday, they let him officially resign to keep from firing him. Now, if it had been somebody that was black, he would have immediately been fired when the charge was brought up against him. However, however, due to his skin color, they allowed him to officially resign yesterday. So I think that in itself shows that they're not they're not about equal opportunity for blacks and white. That they want to that they want us as workers because they need us. There's no doubt that they need us, but they want to keep their foot on our necks and not be that where we can see each other eye to eye or where we can see each other as equal. To them, we'll never be equal because they keep perpetuating evil and malicious intent to keep us as a people divided. And I think that as long as we continue to allow that, then we're just as guilty. I know we have things in soup, but there are other ways that you can get together, man, and get together with other people who've been wrong. But we're so happy to see one of us downfall. There's so many other people who are still there are gloating in the fact that some of our people are get it messed over. You know what I'm saying? So just to bring anybody that hasn't heard me up to speed, I told you that, that the CID director was going to be removed. You know what I mean? They should have arrested him downtown, but he was missing. So they allowed him to go out of town, or some say he was on a medical leave. But anyway, however, that's their business. It's done. It's done. You know what I mean? And so the scales of justice is going to continue to balance itself because that's how nature is. When everything is out of balance, God's going to make sure that He's going to bring it into balance. And so as long as the scales are unbalanced at MDOC, specifically Parchman and around the state, DCF, CMCF, SMCI, then God's going to bring that around, man, until He's going to balance this out. Whether my people stand up for themselves or not, I really wish that they would get together and stand up, not cause any problem, not whatever, however they can fix it. If it's in the form of a mass walkout, if it's in the form of a mass people taking medical leave, however you do it, you got to bring those people in line when they're continuing to take their color, under the color of authority and oppress you. Man, we're not in slavery anymore. So we don't have to put up with these horrific things that they're doing. Uh, like and I haven't even mentioned this, when they took the girl, it was one white girl came through training when I was there. I used to teach a class at the training center. And she came through, and the young guy, Taylor, came and got her and took her to CID. She hadn't had a job before. You take her straight out of training, take her, send her for police training so she can work at CID. Look what happened 4 months later. 4 months later, they find pictures of her in a cell that they're shaking down at A building of her nude. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that when we do that, what's up, nephew? When we do that, man, it's when we allow stuff like that to go on, so they know she wasn't ready because she's never had any police training. You took her straight out of training. That's her first job she ever had, and she said so while in training because she was in my class. And you take her because she's white, give her an opportunity to go to CID, pay for her to go to school, officer training center, and you turn her out with the wolves. You talking about guys who've been incarcerated 15 to 20 years or 30 years, and then you put her in CID, and when she has to go through and interact with people, then she don't know how to handle it. She don't know how to. She don't know how to. How can I say it? Fight those people off, or not be compromised. Put her in a position not to be compromised. You see what I'm saying? So the same day, a black girl was dealing with somebody in the same unit. They took her up to CID, up to the administration building, investigated her, and terminated her Johnny on the spot. What they did with the girl Zoe, the white girl, they took her and sent her on administrative leave with pay for a couple of weeks so they could figure out what they was going to do with her. You know what I'm saying? And the dude told them, showed her everything that she had been bringing him for the past 3 or 4 months. And mind you, she hadn't been there but 4 months. So 3 months of it, she was corrupt. So she was making trips under the cloak of being a CID at the institution, so she could go back and forth if she wanted. And she would go in when she was taking the dude contraband. I'm not telling you what I heard. I'm telling you what I know. In the same way that you go and um, you arrest Nurse Summers, you catch her coming in with a bundle, and you send her home. You send her home and tell her that she's to no longer come to work. The very next day, a young African American guy, I'm waiting to hear from him too. As soon as I can, I'll tell you his name. He comes through with basically the same amount. You slam him on the ground, you take him to jail, you take him to Sunflower County. You know what I'm saying? So tell me how that's equal. One doesn't get a charge. The other one gets a permanent charge of introduction to contraband on his record. The other one is allowed to let go or, say so. So I just think that that our scales are, that our justice scales are a little bit imbalanced. let me tell you some of the things that was going on with swindle at DCFS. And it was an inmate and a staff member that broke this, and the staff member was let go because she broke this story. And it's known that she broke it, but 2 weeks later, 2 weeks later when she first reported the thing, she had pictures of the superintendent who was at DCF. I think her name was Swindle at the time, but she was taking the inmate out to the hotel, had pictures, taking her in and out of Dollar General, and taking her to her home in Calhoun City. Yet, after the officer reported, and she told the lady, well, she don't need no transfer, she's with me because she's the superintendent. When the officer told her, no, that's not right. When any inmate goes out of this gate, in case something happens, we have to have a transfer. So she had transferred, and she sent copies to CID in Jackson. And what they told her was, we're going to investigate it. 2 weeks later, this same employee was let go, just terminated, because Mississippi is what's the state? What's the word I'm looking for? Tell me. Anyway, they can let you go without telling you, and they just let her go. You know what I'm saying? Just no reason. About 4 days later, they came in and walked off the superintendent. Nothing was ever done. The young lady is still there that she was in a relationship with, and she took the girl to Jackson to get married to a former inmate. You know what I'm saying? The right, yeah, right to work. You know what I mean? Appreciate that, Donna. Keep me on P's and Q's. Keep me on my Sam Clifton now. You know what I'm saying? Uh, so 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 tell me how that's fair. Tell me how that's fair. Uh, and then one of your maintenance workers that was bringing inmates from Parchman down to DCFS to fix the stuff when they first got it open. They took some inmates from down here at 720 and put them down there. They took them down there and they were sending them there. And one of the girls ended up getting pregnant by another inmate, a male inmate that one of the maintenance people were bringing from Parchman to come down and fix something. So they know that these people, they knew that these group of guys were in a relationship with the same group of women that with a group of women that they were bringing down there, and they allowed them to have their lunch break love affair. You know what I mean? As Jay Martin's group, they were having their lunch break love affair. So one of the girls ended up getting pregnant, and so the warden and her deputy warden were trying to get a girl's plan B until one of the girls that were too far gone. I wanted to say Willingham, Willington, or something like that. You can look it up. I'll find you her name, but her name was Jacqueline Willington. She ended up getting pregnant. You know, we have to be mindful of everything, uh, 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 that's going on around us to where it's blatantly uh, racism. You know what I'm saying? In order for us to, in order for us to right these wrongs, we as a people got to come together. You know what I'm saying? I have enough letters and everything, man, that I'm going to present when the time is right. But I just want y'all to keep your eye open. You know, yesterday I'm gonna show you how they keep things. Hey, what's up, Chanel? I want to just show you how they keep things so hidden. You know, yesterday there was an officer called bringing contraband into Unit 30 yesterday. Uh, they let him get away, but they fired one officer. They accused one officer who I heard wasn't involved. You know what I mean? And the inmate told him that the officer wasn't involved, but then one of the guys from CID slammed the guy and kind of messed up his face, slammed his face into the concrete. After the guy wasn't resisting or anything, didn't run or anything, threw his hand up. Just kind of bagged up and everything, but you end up slamming him into the concrete. And so, nothing on the news about that. Nothing that's happening with that. So it's amazing how when all the bad happens at MSP, you can keep it out of the news, but when one African American get caught up in a scandal or something like that, here we go on the 5 o'clock news. Your picture is posted all over the broadcast. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that here's another thing too. when uh, uh, Robin, y'all know who Robin is. I don't have to go through. It's Batman's underling. You know, if you don't know, you just not coming this one the first time. You know, so that's the Batman is always the person in charge, and Robin is his underling. So Robin is going around the the institution that if young black girls don't get in line with him, meaning submit to his sexual harassment advances, then he moves them and put them in places that they don't want to be or in put their lives in jeopardy. So he's using his position of power because his daddy said so. But you know, he called himself everybody at Parchman daddy. You know, he said, you know, I'm your daddy. If you don't like what I say, you can get gone. You get your people, you get my people. You know, what kind of words is that for you as a supervisor, black or white, to say? But especially if you white in an institution that's been filled with racism since the 1800s, what kind of words is that to say in 2024? How and why can you even say that in a meeting and you think it's okay? Better yet, how can you, as an African American who has worked so hard and been so in a place that's been so plagued with racism, even stand by and allow him to say that without doing an incident report, without pulling him to the side, and him thinking that that's cool? Man, he's subject to the rules and the SOPs, the standard operation procedure of the state, just like you are and everybody else. So just because he's your supervisor and white doesn't give him the right to think that he's any better than you. You know what I mean? He's subject to the laws of the state too. You know what I mean? And so how can we order, how can an order be made for $57,000 worth of supplies for the club be ordered, but between merchant and MSP, it comes up missing. And nobody is calling Ted White. Nobody is telling Ted White. How can a truck that leaves Jackson, Mississippi, 2 hours away, with $57,000 worth of stuff to go to the club, to go to MSP, and it comes up missing? It's nowhere to be found. Where is it? How can a club? We're talking about 57,000. How can a club lose $250,000 after it takes 5 or 6 months to build up? We're talking about from zero to $250,000 that they made inside of CMCL. How can $250,000 disappear? It took them 4 months to make it. How can it disappear in 1 month span without the invoices lining up? You know what I mean? You're not paying the inmates out of that fund. You know what I mean? It's a club. It's a club. So your response to it, instead of you having 5 or 6 clubs at one institution, you just create one club for the whole institution. That way you think that you can better oversee it or have a better oversight over the club. It's impossible. It's impossible. But how can we even stand by and see our taxpayer money go into funding a place like that, and we don't care about the thing simply because the public don't know? They're not going to tell you that. You know what I mean? You see people on say we need money for this, we need money for that. You're not fixing anything because there are several pictures floating around on the internet where you can see the showers are messed up, the bathroom messed up, the food trays are terrible. You know what I mean? And you can put guys in the rec cages for hours and hours upon hours to where, as punishment, if you complain and their word gets out in their family call, you're going to put them in the rec cage at 7 in the morning and let them stay in there till 4 or 5 at night. They're not covered. That's the first thing. And if it's 70 or 80 degrees outside and you sit in the sun that long, man, you're going to get dehydrated. You know what I mean? You're going to get sunburned and you're going to get sick. So how can we continue to do that, man, when our loved ones? See, the thing is, a lot of people that go about their day to day don't have anybody incarcerated. Unless you've been incarcerated or unless you have somebody who's incarcerated, then you don't really care because it doesn't bother you. You know what I mean? It doesn't bother you that they're stealing your taxpayer money. It doesn't bother you that they're uh, 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 inflicting mental trauma on the staff and the employees. It doesn't bother you that when a staff files an EOC at one institution, the human resource person, it's filed on the person at the institution. How can you take that EOC complaint and give it to the person that is filing? You know what I mean? When he's in a position of power at that institution. So he can go back and call the officer up to his office and tell him and ask him, what can I do to make this right? How can you do that, Ms. Williams? How can you take Robin a EEOC complaint and show it to him before you send it off to him? Whether he's giving you a direct order or not, that all EOC complaints need to go to him. You send it to the people in Jackson first, and then you tell him he can come pick it up and he can come see it. Especially if it's on him. You got to read your policy too if you don't know your policy. If you don't understand what you're supposed to be doing in your job, then you need to get out of the way. If you're that afraid of somebody of another color because he's in a position of power, then you need to get out of the way, man. Until you're going to start standing up for the people who are trying to speak up for themselves, then, man, you just as much as the power. You're an extension of his power, an extension of his oppression, an extension of his injustice and unrighteousness. You know what I'm saying? So you can't keep on, man, being an oppressor for them. It's just like when you was watching Life and the guy, uh, man, thank you for that. You see it, you see that, yeah. Oh, coming to a theater near you, MBI, EEOC, and Homeland Security. Appreciate that, nephew. So there's your direction. That's who you send it to: Chad White, the FBI, MBI, or the EEOC, or Homeland Security, the state or the federal. You know what I'm saying? So I think that we need to, and this is going to be around, man. And don't be afraid to share this. If you're afraid to share, man, I'm not afraid to say it. So don't be afraid to share it. Because what I say today, I can say tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? And see, that's the thing about the truth, man. Once you say it and it's out there, it's going to be the truth when I say it tomorrow, next month, or whatever. You know what I mean? If you happen to stumble upon this, man, don't be afraid to share. Well, I don't know what's going to happen to me if I share it on my page. Then get off social media. What you looking at it for? You know what I mean? If you don't care about the change or the wrong that's going on, then don't watch it. Man, I'm speaking to the people that care. You know what I'm saying? If you care, man, take time and hit that share button as soon as you hear it. When you hear the word share, then hit it and share it to as many places as you can. That's the only way change is going to come, man. I was telling somebody, man, people are so content sitting in misery that, and I kind of compared it to when Harriet Tubman used to always dream of being free. Every day she used to walk out with her dad, and her dad used to take her in the woods and teach her how to. You know what I mean? If you don't stand up for something, man, you'll fall for anything. You ready, baby? Yeah. And so the thing is, I was thinking about that, how her dad used to take her in the woods, and he was preparing her as a young girl to where, because she always had that heart of freedom, she said in her book. And he would take her in the woods and he would show her like which side of the tree to look on in the summertime, in the wintertime, in all 4 seasons, so that she'll know where she was at all times. So this is before your phone, GPS, and everything. He was telling her how to take the North Star and each month to know what direction she was going in. And they even created songs to guide us out of freedom. Man, this is your song of freedom. This is your, man, yeah, give it to me. And so this is your song of freedom. What you're hearing and me coming on telling you, man, and everybody telling you the direction you need to go in, man, this is your song of freedom. You don't have to sit in misery. But back to Harriet. Harriet, when she got old enough, she told her husband that she wanted to be free and that she was going to leave and try to find a pathway to the north. So her husband said, well, I'm going to stay, and, you know, if that's what you want to do, then I support you. So Harriet When we're talking about, we ain't talking about no car or even a horse and buggy. So she on foot with a little old sack, with a stick and a sack over her shoulder, and she traveled from uh, deep in the heart of, I want to say, South Carolina to go north. We're talking about a 7, 8 to 9 months. So she had to leave in the fall. You know what I mean? As the old Negro spiritual said, you know, when the quail comes around and the mighty gourd was the big dipper. Said follow the drinking gourd. You know, so they were hitting coals in the sun. And so she left, and it took her like 6 months or so to get to the north to where she was freedom. And she said that when she crossed, I want to say, the Ohio River and got to the other side to where she was in the land of freedom, she said she took her hands and she flipped them over inside out and looked at it. And she said, wow, I've been free all the time. Freedom was inside me. Freedom was inside me just like oppression was inside me. Just like enslavement was inside you. Oppression and enslavement is inside of you. Until you do the things outwardly to make you free inwardly, you're going to continue to be free. You're going to continue to be a slave to the system until you stand up and fight for yourself. And the thing was, when she got there and got set up and she was so enthused that she said that, man, I made it. I want to go back and get my people. You know what I mean? So, I'm not saying I'm Harriet Tubman, but I made it through 23 years of incarceration, man. So I want to go back and get my people. God allowed me to be able to work on this side so I can see the ills and injustice that's going on this side. Not through the belly of the beast, but I came out of the belly of the beast to be a contract with the beast so I can see the ills that's going on. And because I didn't like it and stood up for them, then I became a target of them. So when she went back, 6 months to go back with nothing but a little handheld pistol, 22 revolver, she went back. The first person she tried to get was her husband. When she went to the cabinet, her husband had already moved another woman in. And she like, baby, I come to get you. You know, I know the way to freedom. I mapped it out. I built some connections along the way, and I remember how to get there. Her husband told me, man, I ain't going nowhere. I'm fine. She said, you're comfortable staying here? He said, I'm not going anywhere. Mr. So-and-so been good to me. I'm going to stay right here. You know what I mean? So she left, and she got some of her family members. First time, like 5 or 6 of her family members, and took them back. But her husband, she went back to get her husband, and it was willing to still take him, even even despite of the fact that he had moved another woman into the same cabin that she lived in, she decided that she still wanted to take her husband to freedom. You know what I mean? But he was so caught up in slavery, that he was content because the master treated him a little bit better than the rest of them. So you people who are working in position to where Batman and Robin are treating you a little bit better than the other people that are working out there, then you sit your content behind in that misery. And when one thing about it, when the scales of justice fall, all those who work for the oppressor will be called to pay. You know what I mean? All of those of you who are standing on the sideline and participating and watching the oppression and not speaking out about it and not calling the people, whether you're a regular officer, whether you're a deputy warden, whether you're a warden, or whatever, major or whoever, a captain of the institution, wherever, Parchman, CMCF, DCFS, and you're still watching them inflict oppression through you, upon the other staff and on the inmates there, then when the hammer of justice come down, believe me, it's going to hit your finger. It's going to hit you right square in the top of the head, and you're going to be held to pay. You're going to be held to answer for those things that you're doing under the guise of leadership that you know is wrong. You know what I mean? When you know an officer shoots an inmate in the face and you stand idly by and don't say anything, it's 10 to 1 You know what I mean? Even though spraying is bad, but when you take a shotgun and shoot a guy in the face and you don't say anything, after your black leadership tell you to wait, but your white counterpart tell me to do what you got to do to get him up out that cell, and you end up shooting him, and you stand idly by, and nothing happens to you, and you don't obey the black deputy warden or the black warden at the time, but you let Robin tell you to go ahead and do what you got to do to extract him. It's the warden institution. She said don't do anything until she get there. But you go ahead and you shoot him in the face, and then you don't want to answer for that because you didn't wait. When the film clearly shows, that he was not a threat, that he was backed up in the corner with his hands in the air. You know what I'm saying? So, so I think that, and then when, you ready? Okay, give me 5 minutes. And so when you do that, man, you think, man, speak now, forever hold your peace, and don't cry when justice come knocking at your door. Don't drop your head and say, "Oh, I didn't know. Nobody told me." A lie. In my famous word, a lie. You know what I mean? So I'm giving you an opportunity, man, right now that you know the wrong that's going on, man, at MSP. You know the wrong that's going on at DCFS. You know the wrong that's going over CMCF. You know the wrong that's going over SMCI and all the other places, Wilkinson County, where people are supposedly committing suicides and all this and everything that's going on. Um, One other thing I wanted to say was that I wanted to touch on. You know, so many people, so many people, looked at me as a man immediately, immediately. Yeah, they'll be the one set up to take the fall. Well, I didn't tell him that because you know why? I can tell him by a phone call and I won't put anything in writing. If somebody asks you to do something wrong, man, tell them to send it to you in writing so you'll cover yourself. You know what I'm saying? You can't just take it upon yourself because either you panic chasing like them, you're telling them, and then the thing is, I want to speak to if any of y'all have any connections to Hammond or what's the other girl that he's supposed to, y'all know the two or three that he's sleeping with around MSP. Man, tell them to speak out. Tell them they don't have to be subject to that. They don't have to be to get a better job or anything, because he's not doing anything. Because the first chance he get to punish you, he's going to punish you. He's going to put the hammer on you. When you stop giving in to his advances or anything that's going on with him, and he's going to bring the hammer down on you. As my nephew said, man, speak now, forever hold your peace, man. Forever hold your peace. You know, I think that one of the things that I had, there's a few officers, man. There's a lot of y'all out there who are no longer there. I think that we need to have a sit down. And so most of y'all have my number. If you don't, man, get it from somebody that knows somebody. You know what I mean? One thing they're gonna tell you, I'm gonna answer the phone call when you call. When you call. If you want to get together, man, I'm arranging something uh real soon and very powerful. Man, so get with me. Don't hold back. Get with me, come talk to me, man. Stop letting these people, man, inflict harm upon you. Stop letting these people throw out threats around. He's not your daddy. It's not your daddy. It's not your daddy. He's your supervisor who's bound by the laws and rules of the state just like anybody else. He can't violate the rights just because he's white. He can't do what he want to do just because he's white. And you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do just because you're black. You know what I'm saying? And my dad used to say, man, with a real whistleblower, please stand up. Man, you can call it whatever you want, man. Nicole, they need to just stand up and speak up. You know what I'm saying? But man, the time of us just standing idly by is gone and over with, man. You know what I mean? And MBI coming. So if you want to be on that wrong side of right, just keep on doing what you're doing. Don't try to be a whistleblower after they put you up, put your hand behind your back, or when they tell you turn around and face the wall. Don't. I know. I want to talk. I want to talk. It's too late. You know what I'm saying? The iron is hot, man. Injustice is coming. So I advise you, man, to get on the right side. It's coming. I promise you, and it won't be long. You can guarantee that, and I'm gonna ensure that. You know what I mean? Starting with my counterparts in the north, who've been doing what they want to do, but I'm gonna make sure that the bookends of justice, man, compress everything that's wrong. You know what I mean? And so that's the stealing, that's the whatever, that's the firing people while they're at home just because they did their job. You know what I mean? So, what's up, Miss Hill? How you doing? So I just think that, man, we as a people are going to have to start standing up with each other and stop letting the small thing get by. It's like a leak. You know what I mean? The longer a leak runs, the bigger the hole is going to get. So if you keep letting the small things get by, they're only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's going to explode, man. It's going to explode, and you're not going to have a job. You know what I mean? And you're going to get caught up in a web of injustice. And you had the opportunity to stand by and not say anything is you being just as wrong as those people who are perpetrating the ills and the wrongs against the people at MSP, at DCFS, at SMCI, or at CMCL. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I promise you, man. I promise you, a change is going to come, and it won't be long. The plan that they have is to set themselves up so that they can step up off the backs of their people, their big oppressors. When they leave, when they move out the way, they're creating a system to where they can step up into the next higher position and pull that low level cousin or uncle or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Up behind them, take my spot. It's a good money. Man, when Warren, I looked at the thing the other day and I was looking at when Warren Morris was there. I think he made like $88,000 as a superintendent. Do you know that the current Batman of Parks MSP is making $130,000? That's $42,000 more than what Mr. Morris was making. $42,000 more. Ain't that much change? Ain't that much change since 2021 up until now that he needs to make 130,000? And better yet, let's do this right here. How about in 2019, uh, Superintendent McCool came in when the riots first started, and he was in E building. He came in camouflage. When he was talking to one of the dudes, as Mr. Mumford said, they brought all the guys. The white people didn't want all of the higher custody people in Greene County again, so they packed him up and brought him. If he's red and white, he has to be behind a door at all times. At all times. They brought them down and put them in open bays in 2019, right before the riot started, right before Christmas. And they put them in the cell. So here go all these people. Oh, it is. So he brought him down, and Mr. McClure was down there. He was in camouflage. I don't know who he was working for. I don't know if he was on. I know he was at CMCF, but he came down as part of the riot control. And this guy, he was telling him, he was trying to talk to him about his property and everything. And he told the guy to go sit down. The guy threw his hand up. He was walking. And as soon as the guy turned his back, he shot him in the back. Yes, yeah, I'm ready. And he shot him in the back. Swept it on the rug. Guy filed a suit. Got his little money with Rock Nation. Nothing ever happened to him. How did you shoot somebody on the back? The camera still worked. Esau could see it on the camera, but now you're a superintendent after being found guilty of shooting the guy in the back. Man, that's it, man. Y'all catch me later on tonight for more tea. And if you got tea, man, drop it on a coffee pot. Make sure it's still hot. You know what I mean? Turn the blind eye, makes you complicit. Y'all take care, man. Appreciate your time. Yep. Love you guys, man. Be with you real soon.